how to manage the assets, which is images or documents, on the server. From the main menu, select assets. The default is it will open selecting the images folder at the top and show you the contents of that top level images folder. You can either see them as thumbnails like this or see them in a list view like that. So thumbnails gives you a quicker guide as to what you're looking at. The important thing to remember is when there is an arrow by the side of the title, it means there are subfolders within this. So if you click that, you now see there are subfolders for logos, in this case where there are some there, and there's a folder for map images which at the moment is empty, and similarly the 2016, but you notice there is also an arrow by that, which means that's got its own subfolders. So in this case, it's the sample news entry, the New Year's Day event, and so on. So the thing that you often want to do is create a new subfolder. This is useful if you've got like a big event and there's a number of photographs that are all related to that, and it will make it much easier to keep them all together, just like you would on your own computer. In which case what you want to do is create a new subfolder. So in this particular case what you might do is you go down to 2016 and you want to create a new subfolder within that. So whichever one is selected, if you then right click while you're on that, you get the option to either delete it, rename it, or create a new one. So in this case we'll create a new one and just call it test for the moment. Ideally these things should just be lowercase, because of the URL effect when you're in the browser is that it's much easier if you keep everything as lowercase. There are no spaces, so you use dashes or underscores for multiple words. So in this case we now have our new subfolder we created called test, and if we go to it we'll see that it's empty. So that's how we've done it. We would now either upload some new files, so you would do the normal look for them on your computer to upload those into this folder. The other thing you could do is move things into this folder. So if we open the top level images, we can still see these other ones here. What you could do is if you've already uploaded an image and you now realise that actually better to put these into their own folder, you could select them, multiple ones as such, and now you can just literally grab those, pull them across, hover over test, and it will now move those files into that test folder, so they're now there. And if those have already been linked to in an entry, that will take into account the fact that they've moved, so you don't need to worry about it. It will know where the new location is for those images. So you can tidy up, manage the folders after you've created the entry if you forget to do it at the time. So that's how easy it is just to move things around and create new folders. You can also, within the particular image, select it, and on this top little menu, having selected it, you've got the tick in the box and it's highlighted. If you click this drop down, you get the options to do various things with this, whether you want to rename it, or ultimately delete it if you actually just don't want it on the server anymore. But one thing that is quite handy to do, and you might find useful, is cropping the image. In this particular case, the focal interest is actually quite small in this large frame, so it would actually be perhaps better to zoom in more on the focal point rather than having all this extra stuff around. You get a choice as to whether you want to recrop it using a free aspect ratio, which means that you can just any size you want to do, or you can pick it to be square, and then as soon as whenever you resize it, it always stays in that square ratio. Or constrain it means it stays within whatever ratio it already is, so again you can move it around within that side, or a 4:3 ratio. If you go for the square one, what you can now do is focus in here and resize, drag around this to make the thing much more focused, and click save. closer up, you can see more detail, maybe better than the widescreen option that you see. So that's how easy it is to adjust images and move them around from folder to folder.